And it's a good morning to the Gelding, and welcome back, Gelding, after some holidays, and then we had an enforced layoff last week, but we're back bigger and better than ever.
Yes, good morning, Professor. Good morning, listeners. Yes, back and fully refreshed. And Professor, I've got to say one thing. Well done while I was away. You continued our little surge that we had just before going away while we're over there. So hopefully the listeners have got some spare cash as we come into the spring carnival.
Well, we can live in hope, Gelding. We can live in hope. And the races today at Caulfield, 9-race program, the first at 12:30. Group racing returns, Gelding. One
Yes.
Group 1, 1 Group 2, and 3 Group 3s. So the good horses will be coming back.
The Group 1 Sir Rupert Clark Stakes over 1,400. Now, Professor, a bit of history about this race meeting. You remember years ago we used to have show day on a Thursday?
Yes, Gelding.
Well, until Jeff Kennett took that away from us. Well, this is a race meeting that used to be the show day holiday on the Thursday, and the Sir Rupert Clark, as it's now known, has gone through many name changes. Used to be the Marlborough Cup when it was on the Thursday, and it used to be before that even called the Invitational. So a very good meeting, but as we said, a day's holiday. This race meeting would have been held Thursday this week, Professor, or Thursday next week.
Thursday next week. Well, that's the holiday for the Queen's funeral.
Exactly. Yeah, the day of mourning for the Queen. So,
and Gelding, two holidays this week, Thursday and Friday, because the grand final holiday on the Friday. So it's a very, very short week.
It is a short week, Professor, but unfortunately we've got to fit 5 days worth of work into 3. So, work always get their pound of flesh. But let's try and find some winners today at Caulfield. A rather sodden Caulfield, Professor, I might add.
Well, it says rate at the moment, Gelding a soft 6, but if there's any rain during the day, I would imagine that the track would be downgraded, and the rail's out 6 metres.
Yes, out 6 metres, Professor. Looking out the window here, not far from the track, very, very grey skies. So I think we'll see some rain during the day, and we might see a deterioration of the track, which could lead to, of course, some unusual results, Professor.
All right,
but
Gelding,
we'll try for our listeners.
All right, Gelding, what are your 2 best bets for today?
Professor, I like, a bit of a Blues Army, the Blue Army fan. So I like race 4, number 2, Half Cabin, for the Blue Army, trained by, James Cummings, and to be ridden by Jamie Carr, round about the $2.30 mark, Professor. But this is a very, very good colt, a good 3-year-old colt in the Caulfield Guineas Prelude over 1,400. 3 starts for a win and 2 seconds, Professor. Last up, beaten in the McNeil by Jacquino, Mick Price trained Jacquino, so which is one-time favourite for the Blue Diamond last year, Professor. And we know Mick Price has a pretty good ranking of Jacquino, so that's good. Before that, it won at Sandown by 6 lengths, Professor. So I think this is a quality horse. We've got Jamie Carr on board for the Blue Army, so that'll certainly do me, Professor. Race 4, number 2, Half Cabin. Then, Professor, look, I feel like I'm stealing a bit of your thunder here. I like race 8, number 4, Chain of Lightning, trained by Peter Moody, and again to be ridden by Jamie Carr. Professor, this is a horse you picked whilst I was away, and it continued winning. It's had 3 starts this preparation for Peter Moody for 3 wins. And I heard him being interviewed during the week, and he believes that the horse has actually improved, Professor. So, that'll do me. When Peter Moody's got a horse that's had 5 races for 5 wins, and you got Jamie Carr on board, and the trainer said the horse has improved. So my second bet, and what I think is probably the bet of the day in Melbourne, will be race 8, number 4, Chain of Lightning. So what do you like, Professor?
All right, Gelding, I'm going early, given the track might deteriorate. Race 1, the Highland Foundation Handicap, benchmark 78 over 2,000 metres. And I like in that race, Gelding, horse 3, Fengarada, coming out of barrier 4. It's had 14 starts for 5 wins and 4 placings, so a 36% win rate, a 64% place rate. It's won 4 out of its last 5, Gelding, so it's in good form. It won its last race on a heavy track at Sandown by 7.5 lengths. That race was over 20. That race was over 2,100 metres, Gelding. If it had been over 2,000, it only would have won by 4 lengths. It was running away at the end, Gelding.
I did that race, and yes, it did hit the line very impressively, Professor. So, and relishing the soft conditions. So, yeah. As you said, a nice little pipe opener when you don't have to worry about a horse running in the conditions, and it's in such good form. So, a nice pick, Professor.
Well, the other things I like, Gelding, it's the highest rated horse in the field, and it starts 4 kilos lighter than its last start at Sandown. So there's plenty to like about it. Also, I could get $4.10 this morning. It's now into 370 when I last looked, so it's coming in. But for a horse that won like that, to get $4.10 and $1.70, I'm very happy about that.
Oh, Professor, that's good. And as I said to you off air, it was certainly my third pick of the day. So I'll certainly be having a little go at it myself. I'll probably miss the 410, but I'll be happy when it wins at 370, Professor.
Very good, Gelding. All right. And my second choice, well, look, you and I both agree we've got to have a bet in the main race on the card. Race 7, the Sir Rupert Clarke Stakes, the Group 1 over 1,400 metres. I like in that race, Gelding, horse 3, Cinnawang. Coming out of barrier 2, it's had 15 starts for 3 wins and 6 placings, a 20% win rate, a 60% place rate. It's won at the track, it's won at the distance, it's won at the track and over the distance. It beat one of the other runners in the field, I Am Superman, earlier this year in a Group 3 in the Heffernan Stakes at Caulfield. It's also run second to Marabi in the Group 2 Australian Stakes at Moonee Valley a couple of weeks later. Its second up form, Gelding, is very good. 5 starts for 3 wins. I'll take that any day. Benny Mellum's in the saddle. He's in career form at the moment, 14%. And Anthony and Sam Friedman, you can't go bad with that. And look, Gelding, in such a difficult race to pick, you're getting good odds. $19 the win, $5.50 the place. So if
Professor,
Gelding, we're going to be very happy if that one gets up.
Oh, bring on Christmas. Bring on Christmas. Professor, a very, very shrewd tip. This is a very, very hard race to win. Out of the 16 starters, Professor, there's only going to be 4 or 5 lengths covering the field. So a lot depends on luck in running and not getting tracked in. As you said, Benny Mellum just riding in fine form. And when there's no one better than the Friedmans when it comes getting ready for a major race, Professor. So I like it. Coming from a good barrier, so, should get a good position. Hopefully some other horses can get tucked away, Professor. And as we said off air, the place bet's like a winning bet. You're getting, what did you say, $5.50 for it to run first, second or third in a 16-horse race. So, Professor, if it pays $5, it's paid like a winner.
Yes, exactly, Gelding. My tip's exactly. So, interest for each way betters. Yes.
So, mine probably a bit shorter, but wow, if this gets up, Professor, go the parlay.
Yeah.
Go the parlay, which I will put on, Professor.
That's a good segue, Gelding. The Professor's parlay.
A very, very, very successful Professor.
It has been very, very successful of recent times, Gelding.
Yep.
All right, let's look at. We're going to Sydney though, Gelding, for our best bet of the day. Race 7, horse 3, Anime. Would you like to say a few words about why we've picked that one, Gelding?
Well, Professor Anime is probably rated in the top 5 horses racing in Australia. It was up against Zaki, who we also rate. Animo arguably should have won the Cox Plate last year on protest over 2,000. It's on its way to a Cox Plate. This preparation, won first up, coming up second up. So, geez, I think $1.70 is a bit of a steal, Professor. Really, with Animo. Look, some other very good horses in it, in Profondo, Jewess, Ice Bath, and Fangirl. But with Zaki coming out, Professor, that was going to be the pacemaker. Animo will just sit behind them, hopefully have the run of the race. Again, trained by the Blue Army, who we love, ridden by who I think is the best jockey in Australia at the moment in James McDonald. Geez, I'd rather be with them than against them. And I just think this is a class galloper, Professor, and, ridden by a top jockey. He won't do anything wrong on a horse like this calibre when it's going towards a Cox Plate. So I'm expecting it to win and win quite well. The other one, of course, I liked up there is another favourite of ours, Professor, in Nature Strip. But we thought Eduardo and it has been racing well. This field in the Group 2 shorts is like basically there'll be 6 or 7 horses that'll be going to the Everest, the richest race in Australia. So, I think Nature Strip can win that. But I just thought when Zaki was scratched, the bet around Australia today is if you're having one bet, it'll be Animo.
All right, Gelding. Well, that's the anchor leg in the parlay, and let's parlay that. We'll go Premier League this week, Gelding. Manchester City to beat Wolverhampton Wanderers. Man City currently second on the Premier League table. They've had 4 wins from 6 starts. They're undefeated, a plus 14 goal difference against Wolves, who are 15th. They've only won once, Gelding, and their goal difference is -1. So I'm thinking that Man City at $1.30 look pretty good. And let's parlay that into Tottenham Hotspur to beat Leicester City. Tottenham have had a good start to the season. They're third on the table, 4 wins from 6 starts, a +7 goal difference. Leicester are stone motherless last, Gelding, -8 goal difference, haven't won a game. So Tottenham at $1.44 playing at home. Let's take that.
Let's take that. And let's hope Leicestershire is not a West Tigers or something that come from nowhere.
Yeah, well, we can live in hope, Gelding.
Exactly.
The parlay showing 3-1.
That's not bad, Professor.
No, and almost tempted to take a second parlay in Melbourne, Gelding, Chain of Lightning into Man City and Tottenham. That's showing 9-2.
Oh, well, why not, Professor?
Yeah.
Why not? No tip for today's football, Professor? Thought you might have been a possibility to be in Sydney.
Well, until I looked at the cost of getting there, Gelding.
Yeah. Certainly not missing. They're certainly catching up, the airlines, aren't they?
Oh, I think they're making up for lost time, Gelding. That's what I think.
Yeah. Certainly recovering what they lost in COVID. But yes, I thought you might have come under a bit of pressure from someone to possibly visit maybe some Chinese restaurants in Sydney and also see a marvellous football game.
Look, we're up there for Sydney Collingwood, Gelding, and that was terrific earlier in the season, and caught up with friends of ours that we both know.
Yes.
And it was a good time. And I think I looked at it, looked at the cost and said, no, I had a good time then, I'm just going to leave it.
Funny you should say that, Professor. That same person that you're talking about, I've been texting this morning. about that, and he's not going to the game. Couldn't get the seats he wanted.
No, yes, I was aware of that because another person you and I both know was on the emergency list for a seat at that. A Collingwood supporter that
beautiful.
we both know.
Yes.
But she got tickets and she's going up anyway, driving up and driving back. So
beautiful. Well, we wish Princess the best.
Yeah, we do. We do. All right, Gelding, Sportsfan Radio tomorrow. You may or may not be the starter. And whether you're a starter or not depends on whether Drop the Mic's a starter at Flemington or not.
Exactly, Professor.
So you want to give the punters the good oil? They should get on Drop the Mic now?
Yes, a horse I have. I will declare that the horse I have an interest in is in is third emergency in the last at Flemington, Professor, at the odds of 50-1. And what I'd be telling the punters after reviewing it and hearing it and seeing this horse being placed in a most inappropriate type of race, I would suggest that the 50-1 is under the odds, Professor. Then I'd be holding out for 250. If the horse gets within 20 lengths of these, I'll be happy.
Give us the odds on a start, Gelding.
I don't think it'll start, Professor. I think there'll be too much rain and we'll be scratched. And third emergency, I don't think we'll get a run.
Well, then I can with confidence say that the Gelding will be part of Sportsfan Radio tomorrow. Look, we got the judge coming off the long run up. He's got a bee in his bonnet
during the week.
Well, he's got a bee in his bonnet about James Hird being mentioned as coach of Essendon. So that's got him really riled up. So let's see what he's got to say about that. Delegan will be talking about the Rugby League finals, and Cooter will be talking about the Davis Cup. Who'd know the Davis Cup was on?
Exactly, Professor. Who were we playing? Belgium.
Well, we've played 3 teams. We've beaten them all. We're now in the quarterfinals. So it's very weird now that it's been taken over by a private enterprise, Gelding.
Yeah. But we're not. Are we in a major for tomorrow, Professor?
Yeah, we'll leave it tomorrow. That's on at midday tomorrow, Gelding. All right, until next Saturday when we're talking racing again. It's good luck
and good punting.